and welcome to the Best and Fairest edition of Yeah the Girls, the official Geelong Cats AFLW podcast, brought to you by Deakin University, home to the world's #1 sports science school. We're here a little more glammed up than normal, and we're very excited about having a huge live audience this evening. Yes!
No bloopers tonight, hopefully.
No bloopers.
You nailed that name.
There was
First
a longer
time.
version than that, actually.
6 minutes. It was 6 minutes long was our blooper reel that we watched the other day.
And most of it was my introduction. So anyway, as always, we've got a really big show lined up for you tonight. We're going to be reflecting on the season. We'll be having our final of Which Cat Is That with my really great trophy, nothing compared to the beautiful trophies that we've seen already this evening. Crowning our champion will be Rankin with Georgie Rankin. I still haven't mastered as good as Meg McDonald used to say that. That's what we're a little laughing about is Meg used to say it really well, and I have not mastered the way of saying that. And we're going to be joined by a very special guest, our coach, Dan Lowther. So looking forward to that. But to kick us off, what a season it's been. So much to be proud of. Hey.
So much to be proud of, Nay. I know it's been touched on, but we won't be the same, Yeah the Girls podcast without you next year, but we'll enjoy tonight and have a good laugh. But a few beautiful faces this evening, beautiful dresses, beautiful suits. Shout out Dubs, loving the green tonight, and Prezi looking very sharp.
Oh, Spud, we see you, Spud.
Oh, and
in
Spuddy.
Don't
Really
miss it.
brings out the blonde girls.
And Becky Webb, you went with the black. We did in our last
Yes.
episode, we were talking about what we'd go with. Was this yours? Was this your choice?
I got another dress.
This is a last minute change.
Yeah, last minute change.
All scrubbed up well. Dan, you're looking fantastic, but we'll throw to that in a minute when you get up on stage. But performance-wise, Becky, how did you feel?
Yeah, reflecting on the season, I don't know about anyone else, but it feels so long, but it's so short, and you blink and it's done. But yeah, overall, like, how amazing to sort of reflect on the season now. It was obviously a bit of a sting after the weekend, watching the grand final, knowing that I definitely think we could have been holding that cup up. But so exciting, so many great performances across the season. But yeah, I felt like first start of the season, we showed some really good signs, put our foot down, really put our mark on the competition. We also had some games where it ebbed and flowed, didn't it, girls? But, bringing home that last sort of 7 rounds of the season was something to be excited for, wasn't it?
And I think Flinny put it well the other day. You said you actually think we came second, really. Officially came second with only losing by 4 points compared to the result on the weekend. But it was also great off-field. I think... Sorry, should I not have said that? That was Flinny. That was Flinny. So it was really good off-field as well. I think we've spoken about already. You've seen the togetherness go up on the screen, and that was massive, that message, all season. But the connection amongst our group, and it was interesting just chatting at the table before, the connection amongst the families too is something that I think was raised, and it's really special now to see the parents. I think, the ones who are sticking around post-game the longest, that they get shooed out the door. But it really is such a special group, on-field, off-field, and then to have that connection between the families of sharing those highs and lows of this. Highlight being that, Melbourne game where they all got to come in the rooms, bit of local footy feel again. It's just been magical to really share that together.
It sure has. And we're going to go into that in more detail and explore the season and reflect on what a year it's been. So let's welcome up our coach, Dan Lowther. Welcome.
Well, you've gone the club tie for one.
Yes. So a little bit different this compared to last year behind the lectern by yourself. How are you feeling about the vibe?
I'm loving the vibe. This is, I'm a guest on Yeah the Girls for the first time this year, so I was wondering my first time would come, and here it is.
No, we love it. And obviously, Dan, obviously you can't be behind the lectern having your spiel, so we've got some questions for you to sort of run around the season and everything that we want to hear from you. So obviously new seasons bring different challenges, and season 8 was the same. So do you want to sort of touch on some of those challenges that we've overcome and that came about in season 8? I know having 3 Irish girls on the team is a challenge in itself, and I'm sure you'd like to touch on that as well, but yeah.
Not just the Irish girls, I'll give you that. Well, I'm glad you asked. I'll just pull out my blue forms. Just some notes here. I learnt from last year, Diana Taylor did such a good job with all the stats and the milestones and players, so I'm not going to go down that path, so you did a great job there for me, Diana. Challenges. You could almost bounce off each other, to be fair here, but there were a lot of challenges for me. It was keeping the momentum going from last season to this season. Like we finished on such a high in regards to 7 wins, coming from the baseline that we had prior to that. And having 6 months off, you're wondering, is what we're doing working? Is the right message getting across? The work ethic off the field in the off season, so is that momentum going to bounce from one season to the next? And we all know it's eclectic and different, but that was a major challenge for us to think about in the off season. Couple that with a more challenging fixture off the back of being successful from one season to the next. Not being able to plan over that time for who you're playing against because you just don't know who your teams are. But what it came down to for us was, to be at that top 4 or top 5 team, it's just to score against the teams who are doing it regularly over that a long period, and we just weren't at that point yet. So a lot of our planning and time was around how can we get better to put scores on the board. Our defence was solid, our midfield's growing. I'm very biased. I think our midfield's going to be the best for a long period, but how can we put that final piece of the puzzle together around our scoring against the teams who defend really well? I can't say I won't lie. Like I watched the Kangaroos game that last final, where we got rolled in elimination final, and over and over and over again, looking for ways to how can we beat this team, but it should hold us in good stead against the top 3 or 4 teams. So that was a major challenge, and then. Off the back of that, how we have a new forward system. So a new forward system over the period was designed to help us be more connected to our midfield. And I can still remember working with Andrew Bruce and Jackie Parry in our first week, going through some of our forward craft, and Jackie's just saying, "I just don't know how this is going to work. I have no idea what we're doing here." But Jack kicked 16 goals this season, so I think she got it in the end, which is brilliant. So Jackie.
It's never fun defending her either.
Yeah, and then we throw in, Spud and the role that Renee played in our front half, Kate Sermon, not Spud, and going across the globe to recruit Aisling and Anna Rose, with of course Rachel already being here, to add us some difference in our front half, and that's worked out really well for us. And you can't push aside to how we now develop our current list, because our list profile is in a really good position. So we've got such a good list to coach and get better, and now we can add some more value to it. So that was a few challenges to me, but I think we're getting there.
That's a good list of challenges, but we obviously had a lot of highlights as well across the season. What do some of those look like to you? What were your biggest highlights?
Well, I'll just check my notes after that random question.
We totally came up with these questions ourselves.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to ask you guys off the cuff. I'll start though, just to get a bit of banter going. But for me, again, off the back of the challenge, 6 months off, an off season that you're trying to manage players the best they can to stay engaged and get better. But there's no hard and fast rule that you must be here to get better. So for me, round one was a highlight, that we win by 48 points against a team that's historically been really good, and to smash the Dogs down here, it was like, yeah, okay. Yeah, that was a highlight for me to start the year off after such a long wait about what could be. So that was a good challenge, and it's been mentioned already with player debuts and milestones across the course of the year. Zali Friswell, rising star, like she's played 3 seasons and she's 19, but she's a rising star finally. But we've got those players on a list, so all those accolades. The 2 girls in our 22 under 22 team. Georgie and Nina. Georgie being vice captain of that. A couple of nods there for the All-Australian squad too. Very stiff. I'll get into that later on, but very stiff not to get anyone on the All-Australian team. So lots of season highlights there. And then, as was touched on earlier on, winning 5 of our last 7 games, but also a milestone for us is to win a final, the game against the Bombers. You did it emphatically for me. Very proud moment, and then to beat Melbourne in a prelim and to dominate for 3 quarters. I don't care what everyone says around the last quarter. You've done enough and you showed your colours. So that was, a fantastic highlight.
Yeah, talking about highlights, I feel like that Richmond game, second last game of the year, was a massive highlight for me. I thought we played our brand of football for 4 quarters. As much as we didn't hit the scoreboard probably until the last quarter, I remember just coming off the field just being just so happy, and everyone played their role like so superbly. It just felt like we were leading into finals like with a great, just a great brand of football.
Absolutely. Anything you want to touch on, Jay?
No, I think we're good.
Yeah. Happy? Dan, can you take us behind the scenes a little bit with your role and what it takes to get a group like us ready to go each week up and going for a game?
It's a loaded question. We haven't got time for the in-depth answer. Yeah, but me being full time has been a great step and fantastic from the club to give you that opportunity to be here and be able to coach you guys regularly, day in, day out, during the day, during the night. It's a full-time gig to the full extent of the word. But everyone in this room here has had a hand in you guys and me being able to do my job week in, week out, day in, day out. So everyone in this room here has touched the playing group in some way. But I thought I might just go through briefly what a week might look like. I bumped into Ashley Maloney at her favourite coffee shop this morning, and we just had a bit of a laugh about how...
Which coffee shop are we talking?
If there's anyone from Born and Bred in the room, we wouldn't mind a couple of free coffees. But
Ben Waller?
It's Ashley and Anna Rose. I think there's more than just the two of them. I think Benny Waller gives it a nudge as well. We just had a bit of a laugh about just the difference between back home in Ireland and here is that there's a bit of a break in between games and recovery and whatnot, but here you just have to bounce back and you're pushing on, and it's like straight as soon as the game finishes, you're looking into next week. It's like that's done, that's passed. So it's half an hour of glow if you win, and then you're already looking at the week after. And that consists of the doc coming over and saying, right, I need 5 minutes of your time to make sure that we go through some injury lists and the next steps for those players, and then. We talked to Abby and Dave about here's the vision of the game, and then we go off as coaches and code the game for 4 hours or however long it takes to get the Monday review right, and then you've got our S&C staff doing strength and conditioning, running and weights on the Monday, and there's review, and that's just the 24 hours post the game if it's a weekend game, which can be quite taxing. That's why you mentioned families before and the sacrifice that happens for us to do what we love, and husbands, wives, families of all are in this room here sacrifice that to give us that time, and that's just a Monday, and then we get to main session Tuesday, and there's you guys do your conditioning, and we do our oppo review and hit the marks that we need to mark there, and then in between that we've got operations meetings with admin, with Ben, Brett, and PDM team, and Tay, and all these people that just make the place tick, which not everyone sees happen, but it's just a continually, revolving the things of tasks to complete. And then there's Thursday craft, and Finchy gets up and does his oppo preview and does it really well, and there's line meetings, and you forget that the coaches are working full-time jobs and having to put this stuff together for you, and it just makes my job easier, but we all love it, and that's the beauty of it. And then we get to game day, and it's the best 4 or 5 hours of the weekend. It's stressful sometimes for me on the bench, but I've got better at hiding that stress, I think. And then we win, and then it just starts again, and you're all over again, and that's the week, and I'm missing 100 things that happen in between that. The conversation at home about, we could have done this better, we could have done that, or, it's just it's a forever ongoing process, which everyone in this room can relate to, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
I was going to say, I think you were missing the reviews with Tan and probably the 11, 12 p.m. text messages from Nina that keeps you going for the rest of the night. Yeah,
well, I get the truth serum through my wife, which is great. Very astute assistant coach on the side there, and then and that's the beauty of how we operate. Like, we need to be able to utilise our time, because you guys aren't at the club full time. Well, you guys can be around a bit more than some, but that's how we need to operate. So if it's 11 o'clock, here's a clip from Nina, or a phone call to Jules around football and life, or whoever it may be. That's just how we need to operate to make sure that we all click.
So then what does it look like next season, season 9? What's our focus, both from a competition perspective and then obviously for our group as well?
It's another big question. I think it's the big challenge for us for next year is again, the momentum piece and having an off season, which is we make good decisions around what we need to be doing. But it's just to understand that the AFLW is always a forever changing climate at the moment. With the new teams coming in and the equalisation around player movement, like we can already see now, the last week's been frantic. The last few days have been frantic around, teams stacking, with some talent. Melbourne have had 2 or 3 players leave who are, the bloodlines to their success, and all of a sudden now Hawthorn's stronger. Now, it's hard to plan with these teams when it changes so much and we don't know who we're playing yet. So that will be a bit of a challenge to be ready for that, and just how we stay ahead of the curve. And for us, it's not about reaching for any new trick in the bag. It's like I think what we're doing with our system in place and how we've trained over the last 2 seasons is sound. Our list profile is exactly where it needs to be, in our belief. And we're going to just embed all the time we can into improving the group we've got, because this is the group that's going to take us a long way over the next 2 or 3 years. So it's an exciting thought to have. It's a long time before we can get stuck into it, but certainly it doesn't stop when we've got the draft in 9 days, whatever it is, coming up. So we've already got our heads in that space as well. So it's just about making sure that we keep meeting and exceeding the standards that you guys have been putting into play over the last 12 months, and that those are the baseline from this point on.
Well, before we move on to the finale of Which Cat Is That, and G is very excited, she's in the lead at the moment. Is there anything further that you'd like to share? You've covered a lot already, but anything else that you'd like to share?
Oh, again, it's just a wholehearted thank you to everyone in this room, to be fair, and a big shout out to Dave Morgan. Ray, mate, I just want to make sure I said a big thank you to Dave Morgo, because he's my bench coach, and I forgot him last year when I individualise, and he's literally the glue that keeps me sane and everybody else sane on the bench and on game day. So I want to make sure I made that one really loud and clear.
Feathers has gone rogue.
But look, to be serious, like the board, we're so lucky to have such an inclusive board. To Steve, to Craig, and to have leaders who are visible. Diana here tonight as well. Like, we've got exceptional leaders who are visible to the people who they work with, which fills us with confidence that we're doing things the right way and the right people are in charge. So a big thanks to them. The men's staff and players as well. It's great to see Pat here tonight. Gary Rowan's here with his wife Maddie, and Gaz was one of our assistant coaches this year, development coach, and again, we're bridging the gap with inclusive and that connected piece across the club. And a quick story. I had a phone call yesterday, a private number. I answered the phone, Dan speaking, and it's Blitzarves. And I'm like, we don't call. I can give that, mate. We don't call each other. We talk to each other. We don't call. And him and Busey are over in Margaret River doing some training, and they spotted a couple of girls going for a run and having a kick. So they joined in, had a run and a kick, and said that they should be coming to Geelong. Have they contacted you yet? What's your name? What's your number? Just wanted to let you know, Dan, that we're recruiting for you. And I'm like, so I reckon we're starting to bridge that gap between what other clubs might perceive as a segregated program. It's not Geelong, which is brilliant. So a big thanks to those guys. Partners of players we mentioned earlier on. Darbs, Renee, Erin, and Sammy, to be able to come to training, your family life and how it's managed is so important as well. So big hats off to all those people who play a crucial role for us to be able to get out in the park. The coaches, you know who you are. There's so many of them that support in different ways, and we're so lucky to be led by great people. And it's not just me. To be able to have trust and confidence in people, to be able to be on the same page and to coach you girls, not with an authoritarian type of standard, but it's around problem solving and decision making, and you guys being empowered to make good decisions. And I think that's now starting to transfer onto the park from week to week, is that our awareness of the game and the ebbs and flows of a game are clearer off the back of great coaching and great people. So to you guys, I say a big thank you. To Ender and his wife Magda over in Ireland. I'm sure you're on right now. The time that Meg and I had over there to recruit and to bridge the cultural gap too, about 2 different games, but the impact that those two have had over in Ireland has been super and not forgotten, and hopefully we can get back again pretty soon. And, you know, we got Aisling and Anna Rose and Rach to come out again. So thank you for putting your trust into us as a club and you know, an entity that is a powerful one. So to you guys, thank you so much for committing publicly to come back, which is brilliant. And then finally, just the playing group. And, you know, I haven't got anything. It's actually blank on the back here. But I just think, like, there's nothing guaranteed. So, but what's guaranteed from this point on is the decisions that you make from now until next, you know, June, where you get back on the track and it's like, do you want to have that opportunity again to be competitive? And that's all we can guarantee, is that we can be competitive. We can't guarantee another preliminary final, but geez, it'd be good to get there again. But what we can guarantee is a round one competitive game, and if we get to round one in that space and you've done all the work and you've sacrificed and made great decisions, I have no doubt that the playing group as a whole will continue progressing the right way. And yeah, there's going to be ups and downs, but yeah, there's no guarantee except competition, and that's something that we can support you with across the journey. So a huge thanks to the playing group. But I love my job, I love you guys, and it's an emotional start with Dubs, and you're looking at the vision again from post game, straight after the game. It's brought back a few little, you know, bits of hurt, but again, I wouldn't have it any other way. So thanks to the players as well.
Thanks, Dan. You truly have so much belief in our playing group, and I think everyone in the room can feel that the way that you speak about us. So thank you for all you've done this season and for everyone around you and the support that they've had for you in getting us onto the park. All right, it's time. Which cat is that? Some of you might know this if you follow along the podcast. Some of you may not. Every week there's a segment we call Which Cat Is That, which is basically a game of Who Am I of our AFLW playing list. There's a list of 8 clues that we potentially get through if no one guesses it in the meantime. But Becky G has been taking on the guests every week. There's a score that accumulated throughout the year, and they're playing off for this great trophy this evening and the pride that they're taking it out. They buzz in, they've got one guess to have a go at who the player might be. If they get it incorrect, we keep playing with the people that are remaining. And that's basically it. So feel free to play along in your chairs. We have buzzers, which we might run through. Becky, do you have a new buzzer tonight, or are you going with...
I'm just going to go with Buzz.
Buzz, it's very
It hasn't
very
been working
original.
for me lately.
And G?
I'm going to stick with G.
G. Dan?
Loud.
Loud, love it. So the scores currently, G is on the lead on 5.5. Come and see me if you want to know what the half point's about, or go back and listen to the podcast. The guests are on 5, so Dan's come in. He's playing off. He could take away the trophy this evening if he gets correct.
Well, I've watched enough of G, and G will be out in the first 10 seconds. So.
Nina told me to go early and to come in with a set person, so you never know.
Yeah. And Becky's on 3, so if Becky gets a point tonight, G will be happy. She'll still get the win, but that's the way it goes. So let's get into it. Feel free to play along. All right. This cat's jumper number is a lower number than their age. This cat has kicked 1 goal in every season she has played. This cat came to AFLW from another sport. This cat has changed lines in their time playing AFLW.
G. Is it Rach?
It is Rach. She's got it! She has got it. Thank you to the crowd for helping and playing along. Whoever that was, you've helped her. Did you know it?
Every season.
Once
a
did I say
season.
every game again?
No, you said season.
Did I say season?
No, you got to listen.
I did a practice run of this. Yeah.
I was listening. I was put off by the...
Rachel, good. Well, it was correct. So well done, G. Let's give her a big round of applause, G. She takes out the win.
I smell a stitch up.
You've done very well. Sometimes we get all the way to the end, but you've got it.
Do you want to go through the rest of the clues?
We can go through the rest
That's
of the clues. Number 5, this cat is the youngest in a big family. This cat works in the sport industry. She works at a gym. This cat has played sport at a representative level in 5 sports. So you can chat with her if you want to go through all of those, but amazing. You have some boxing in there. Didn't know that. This cat's family saw her play in person for the first time this year, so the Irish family came over, which was beautiful. So well done, G. Congratulations. And thank you all for playing along. Thank you out the back. G might thank you, buy your drink later on.
I see you back there.
All right, our final little segment for this evening, the fan favourite, as we've talked about, I'm going to try and work on this intro, is Rankin with Georgie Rankin.
Here we go. Thank you, Nay. Shout out to Nay. It's not going to be the same without you next year. Well, we don't actually know who the potty's going to be next year, but it's not going to be the same without you. And I think you would definitely give me a run for my money with the segment, because Which Cat and That definitely became a fan favourite. Every week, Dan, I feel like just before the potty, you'd say, "What are we ranking this week?" So you do. So rather than a ranking with Rankin, I thought I'd flip it around and we'd go list it with Louth. And see what you've got for me. And then throwing you the topic is maybe the top 3 characteristics of us as a playing group, as a whole group. What would you say our top 3 characteristics are?
Some thinking music.
I can't sing. G can sing.
Top 3 characteristics. I'll start with passionate. I think this group, the passion over the last couple of seasons in particular, in everything they do, you do. That's clearly a great characteristic. So passion would be one. Driven for whatever success might look like. Driven for a great match play at training, or driven to push each other to be the best they can. It's been brilliant to watch in match play. Renee up here give Georgie Besparkas the shits at training with our match play.
Sorry, not sorry.
Again, from the right, all from the heart, to try and drive her to be the best she can. And the kiss and make up at the end is quite funny, because there's 2 minutes of absolute hatred before it. But so very driven, very passionate, and I'd say unified as well. Yeah, very unified in that journey. I mean, there's probably a lot of other words we could use to describe, positive words we could use to describe you guys. But they're probably 3. The unified one for me is the last probably 3 seasons we've made some significant changes and shifts to get to this part. So hope those three words are okay.
I think you've nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. List it with Louth. We might bring it back next season on the podcast, maybe.
So there's no Rankin with Rankin?
No, that was it.
All right, okay.
Oh, you tonight. Oh, you.
Yeah, it was all you.
Well, that is it for our Best and Fairest edition of Yeah the Girls. So thank you for being our very first large live audience, and a big thank you to our sponsor, Deakin University. And these girls might see you next year if they're the podcast leads again next year.
Hopefully. Subscribe, jump on, check it out.
Thanks so much.